And dragon.
Well, I always wondered, actually, if that was also part of it, maybe even subconsciously.
Multi-level. Yeah.
Probably, yeah. It's got layers.
It's nice when it works across the board, you know.
Yeah. Oh.
Any dragon is like ogres.
So shall we go ahead and jump into things? Because we're talking about some really good stuff that I don't want to miss. I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is my own. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Do we?
If Piotr jumps in later, I suppose he can. But don't worry. I think. I mean,
graphic
two
designers.
of us are going to be okay, or
yeah. And then we can always, if there's anything specific, if we want to talk about, art direction, layout, graphic design, then we can always maybe leave some of that discussion till a little bit later, just in case Piotr joins.
We can always have a post Kickstarter, congratulations get together, hang out.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, hey guys, Jim here and Kelly and some folks from across the pond from Penny Dragon Games. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good to be here.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. I must apologize in advance for the goblin noises in the background. I do have young children.
Well, it's not your fault. It's really the breath of the Feywild. You have, changelings all over the place, You probably started working on the Mag of Holding chapter for the Feywild, and changelings just popped up everywhere.
Yeah, well, if the chaos is anything to go by, it's definitely Feywild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to get things rolling, please go ahead and introduce yourselves, and what is the Mag of Holding?
I guess I'll go first there, and then Ben. So my name is Paddy Finn. I am the CEO and founder of Penny Dragon Games, and I kind of take the lead in a lot of the stuff on Mag of Holding and our other publications. I would do a lot of the editing and the oversight of the artwork, and I guess in the Mag of Holding, I term myself. It's a tricky one because Mag of Holding isn't really a magazine; it's more of a book, despite the name. But I still call myself the what's it called, editor-in-chief. So I kind of have the final say in how everything looks and the writing appears and stuff like that. But that's me.
And hi, my name's Ben Doherty, and I'm a game designer and editor. Working with Penny Dragon Games now. More recently on the last two Mag of Holdings, more heavily involved, and written a couple things for it. An adventure in the current mag, lots of great Feywild stuff, and also I do a lot of writing and editing and overseeing our Patreon, along with our managing editor Kyle Gray. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great opportunity. Just this last year has been a whole lot of D&D writing for me, which has been great.
Yeah, it started out as a bit of an experiment back in February. So we thought, let's do a little Kickstarter, see how it goes, because we wanted to do a much bigger Kickstarter in April and May, and we didn't want to make all of our mistakes and learn all of our lessons in the big one. So we said, let's do this little Mag of Holding thing and make all our mistakes there. Lots of mistakes were made, of course. But then it sort of kind of exploded and took on a life of its own. And this is our 5th Kickstarter for this year and our 4th Mag of Holding. So it's been, as Ben said, an interesting and fun year for us.
And of course, the Mag of Holdings have plenty of material for 5th edition D&D, and technically any version of D&D or fantasy RPG, which is nice. But I do know I've already shown the Lesser Mimic to a few of my players, and they're already saying, "Can we get one?"
I like it.
Yeah, I have one person who wants a mimic pet in pretty much every campaign we play in, so it's one of those of, you mean it's a purse and a mimic? What?
The perfect combo that everyone's.
Yeah.
The perfect accessory.
You can thank Kyle, our managing editor. He contributed those, and actually lots of other Fey familiars in the book. You can see the Lesser Mimic and the Jackalope there on the Kickstarter page, but there's a few in there. There's a few more, but my two favorites are the Draco kit, which I liked so much I put it in my adventure in the mag. So it's what it sounds like. It's a little cat dragon, which there's two things that I think nerds love: cats and dragons.
Yes.
And I tried to convince Kyle to give it a fireball hairball, but again, it was too punny. I don't blame him.
There's no
He has
such
to rein
thing.
us in. Yeah.
No, there's no such thing. And
Yeah.
speaking as someone who lives in the Southwest, thank you for including the jackalope, because of course we have jackrabbits galore out here, and it's nice to see the jackalope included.
Yeah, it's a great mythological creature. It's kind of it's almost strange. I'm not even sure. It probably has popped up in previous editions of D&D. I would guess, but it was. I haven't really seen it anywhere. And my other favorite of the Fey familiars is the Scavenger Griffin, which is a griffin, like a little griffin, but instead of a lion and an eagle, it's a raccoon and a crow.
Yes, please.
It's your ultimate little
Scavenger.
scroungy scavenging little
It's a trash panda with wings.
It is. Yeah, it's just the ultimate magical trash pet.
The worst of both combinations: a trash panda with wings and a crow with hands.
My God, what have we done?
You reach into your adventures pack and you wonder, why are all these shiny little things in your bag? Where did these come from? And the little familiar just hides behind a tree.
and where did all my food go? Yeah. It's like,
Never
I paid for
more.
all that food you have in your bag. Don't you want this aluminum foil? It's great. It's way better than the sandwich that was, it was being kept in.
Shiny.
Yeah.
Why do you have a collection of shiny arrowheads? I don't know. I don't know where they came from. If I give them to you, they'll be stolen within an hour.
Yeah.
No, collected.
Oh yeah, sorry, Kelly. Yeah, that's thank you for the correction. Got to keep us honest,
So, in the Mage of Holding Breath of the Feywild, what is the contents going to be expected? Like, what's the page count expected to be?
That's a good question. We generally try to keep it to about 112 roughly, but the last one ended up being 130 something. That was the Gothic horror one we did for Halloween, and by the looks of the content and the volume of it all, this one's going to be a little bit more than that. So it may be more along the lines of 140 pages or something like that. So yeah, it'll be a pretty beefy volume by the time it's done.
It is, but also better saying, we sometimes get a little overexcited, and like you said, these things kind of grow, and you just get loads of more and more good content, and you want to bring more stuff to the audience. So even in Mag 3, the Gothic horror one, like Paddy was saying, and this one, we added two things called the Tales from the Lawkeeper, which are available as add-ons, but they're essentially they're longer adventures, so they didn't really feel right to include them in the mag, because it would be quite a bulk of it. So they are available just as add-ons, even in their own printed version. So they're a little smaller, and the one for this one is up around 40 pages in and of itself, including or I think not including maps, actually, because we're in the process of editing that now. So there's, like I said, there's a ton of stuff, and there's even add-ons for more pages, more content if you want it. So, but that's Tales from the Lawkeeper, A Murder of Crows, is by great creator who he actually has a map for his patrons, and he DMs one of our Twitch streams, one of the Twitch campaigns. Richard Defoe up there in Canada. So yeah, shout out to Richard. It's really great. So if you want even more than what's in the mag, there's a whole other adventure for you. So there's tons of stuff.
Richard's awesome. I love Richard. I think I met Richard a few years back when I think he a player in one of my games introduced him, and he became a player in the game. And then it's really funny that a few years later we're all doing this thing together. But just as a little disclaimer, that adventure, once it's edited, may or may not be less than 40 something pages. Just because I like even the one before that, the one with the Gothic Horror one, it was also quite long, but it's kind of like, how sustainable is it to have that many pages for one adventure, So I have to sort of run the numbers by these things and figure it all out, so it might be a little less.
Yeah, that is just, it probably will. I mean, if I'm doing my job right, then it will be. Me and Kyle, we can edit it down, because that's the way these things go. You want to just leave the good stuff behind, and like anyone who writes things knows, there's always fat that you can trim. That's how these things go.
But yeah, we're never so hard to get rid of that.
It really is, because we it's all so good. We're very spoiled in that we never have too much content. Or we always have too much content. Sorry, we're never we're never looking for content in terms of what to put in the mags. Even when we put out the call for writers to put their proposals forward for what they want to write, like, it's very difficult because there's only so much you can squeeze in 140 pages, or 100 to 140, and it's difficult. Like when you have like 4 or 5 really good ideas that they're really good, and I'd love to see them published, but there are these other really good ideas that we've already got going in there, or so it's a bit of a juggling act, but we'll get there in the end. Maybe we should just like have like the Mag of Holding unabridged version or something.
Yeah. Well, even my own adventure for the Willow and the Wardrobe, which actually I think she's on the cover, and I think we also have art for her. But the Witch of the Willows, which Kyle designed for the magazine, features in my adventure. I cut a chunk of it because, like many of us, I was over ambitious, and I was like, had this whole idea for adventure, and it is difficult to do that, kill your darlings, as they say. I had to cut like a big chunk out of it, but ultimately it's better because you want it's still quality that's left over, and as you say, there's only so much you can fit in. You do have to have a limit, at a certain point. But it's good as well. I think that we're kind of bursting with ideas, and there's always overflow, and who knows, those things can go into other Penny Dragon, publications down the line. So it's tough, it's tough, but it's good because what's coming out the other end is going to be really good, because even the stuff that you're having to cut is stuff that you want in there,
Mm-hmm. Even the trimmable material is precious and good. I mean, you could always do a little Patreon sneak peek of, hey, here's little the extended cuts,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I might actually do that.
Yeah, the director's cut. Yeah, release the Snyder cut of the Mag of Holding.
Yeah, it's 500 pages long.
And
it's now a volume.
Something went wrong with the printer. The colors all washed out.
What isn't the Feywild supposed to be really colorful? Why is everything evil and dark and has a gritty voice?
Who's Martha?
Why did you say her name?
Why did you say that name?
It's the Feywild, no names.
I'm sorry, DCEU fans.
This is why all gamers are precious. I'm just going to say and throw that out there.
Yeah.
So, of course, in regards to the Feywild, I gotta ask both of you guys, and I'll throw this out for Kelly, even though I think I know the answer.
Mhm.
In regards to Feywild, are you Seelie or unseelie? Since it's all about the teams these days.
Yeah, Paddy, I'll let you give your response first.
Well,
Paddy, I think Paddy is muted. Well, oh, sorry, Kelly. Yeah, go on.
I like. It depends on my mood. Today it's Sealy. Tomorrow, honey, beware.
Yeah,
She's
it's
as changeable as a Fey.
Exactly.
yeah. That's it. I'm definitely. I would say Sealy. I'm a big marshmallow. The only time I'm on Sealy is when I'm hangry. So keep me fed, and I'll I might as well be Totoro. But the thing actually on that point there is in the manga the subclass which was made one of our writers also from the States, John Sieber is really good. He has done a College of Two Courts, so it's a bard subclass that you choose the Seelie or the Unseelie. So there's kind of two themes. You've got your kind of good enchantment magic, and then a kind of good-natured mischief, or more
Super
treacherous.
dark.
Yeah. So that's good. But I think Paddy, I don't want to speak for you. I mean, I think I know what camp I'd put you in, but
I don't know. I think I'm on Sealy,
Mm.
even though I think I'm Sealy. Especially if you ask my wife, you may get a different answer.
Yeah. What about the kids? That's the real question.
Yeah, they're definitely on Sealy.
All children are on Sealy, Faye.
They definitely are. They've got a lot of that in them.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games until it's not.
Yeah,
fun
and
and
I
games,
actually got some of the artwork back for that subclass actually for one of the NPCs, or should I say the pair of NPCs, because it's a set of twins, twin halflings, and one's obviously Seelie, one's unseelie, and they the artist did a really good job of depicting them as twins, but also bringing out the different characteristics in them. So hopefully I'll be able to share that on an update in the next day or two.
Yeah,
That's
sweet.
awesome.
And because the other thing with that is, the story for those NPCs, I thought was a great choice by John, the writer, who had essentially, yeah, they were both essentially both kidnapped by a coven of hags, and so they're twins, but sisters, and they both went through the same trauma, but they reacted to it in very different ways, and they kind of got separated in an escape attempt, and one ended up with one court and one with the other. And I thought it was just a great representation of that idea, and that sort of two sides of the coin with the Fae,
Mhm.
So they're great NPCs. So I'm looking forward to seeing that art myself, because it was a great subclass to edit,
I'm very intrigued as I'm actually an identical twin. And I always joke that I'm the evil twin. I am sinister. She is Dexter. And we're mirror twins. So we're exact opposites. Everything, like our hands, if you flip our glasses over, if it's so I'm very intrigued.
Oh wow, yeah. Well, that's definitely the mag for you.
Yeah, we may have to rename the evil one to Kelly.
We might. There's still
Well, my
time.
gamer handle is Kelwyn, Kellwyn.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
my
Is that KELWI or YN?
KELLWYN, the Welsh kind of was there. And my sister and I, we actually, she doesn't play anymore, but like in World of Warcraft, we have identical twin characters, Erwin and Kelwin. People thought we were bots. We're not.
Did you, by any chance, ever stay at the Overlook Hotel in Colorado?
We did that to somebody once. When, we
You're
used
both
to do,
unseelie.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we used to do Scottish country dancing at my university. And there was a boy there. His name was Charlie, and they had this long hall, you know. And Carrie and I stood at the end of the hall and go, "Come and play with us, Charlie, forever and ever." Scared the heck out of this
Oh, I love it.
Oh, man.
unseelie.
Yeah, definitely on scene.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Oh.
See, I of course have to always go with the unseelie because you never know why the unseelie does what they do. But they usually have a lesson or reason behind it. You know, it's those classic fairy tale and ghost stories that if you just behaved and had proper etiquette, everything would be fine. But sometimes you got to bring out the hammer. You know.
Yeah, that is actually that's in
Oh, you're breaking up.
I think you break it up there, Ben.
Sounds like a harpsichord.
It does. I think maybe he's been dragged into the Feywild. And
I think we upset the Fae.
Yeah.
Whatever we said, the unseelie court has taken offense.
Yeah, he's about to give away secrets. Can't have that.
No, gotta take him out. While he works on that, it's funny you were saying about, you know, there's often a lesson behind it or a reason for it. And I think that, I don't want to be giving it away, but we include a short story at the end of each Mag of Holding, and in this one we included one by the talented N.G. Thompson, and she's a creative writer, and I've known her for quite some time. She had a really good job of kind of bringing out that aspect of it. You know, it's a story with a bit of a twist, and you've got this lesson at the end of it, which is really good.
I'm looking forward to it. I am. We actually once played. Have you ever played the Dresden, which is a Fate system, the Dresden role-playing game?
I actually haven't. I mean, I've read the books, but I haven't played the game. I'd love to.
Well, my sister and I chose Faye as our. She was a knight of the. Well, we played with it. We made that the Autumn Court wasn't gone. It was just, you know, it was down to two. The Autumn Knight, and then I was a child of Autumn. I was a changeling. So, and we had a lot of fun with it.
Secretly the Earl King's daughter. Because, of course, you know, when we played with it, we decided that the spring and fall courts were the lords, whereas the ladies were summer and winter. And we don't talk about spring. He got uppity. He got uppity, and that's why the Earl King is in charge of the Wild Fae now. We just call it the
too
Wild
much spring
Fae.
in his head.
Because you don't mess with Mad.
These are the puns that you come, that you will find in all.
I'm not even going to apologize.
No.
No apologies are necessary.
I'll take the punishment. Come on.
Yeah, I actually want to create a character called the Punisher, but he's spelled Punnisher, and he's like a bard kind of character, and he just uses really horrible puns as cutting words, and it's savage.
Creates a whole new meaning to vicious mockery.
Somebody. Well, to be honest, I'm sure there probably is on the out on the Unearthed Arcana subreddit or somewhere out in the D&D sphere. There's probably a homebrew one, but I feel like somebody needs to have some kind of a comedian or a bad pun dad joke kind of bard.
I actually I love playing bards. I do. And
Yeah.
I actually have a whole sheet of anytime I think of a joke, I have it there.
Yeah.
Like, so if I'm fighting a goblin, I actually give a vicious mockery. So it's like, I'm going to cast
That's
vicious
amazing.
mockery at the goblin. I'm like, Green was so last season.
Ooh, it cuts to my soul.
Yeah, that's great.
Definitely among friends here, because I played a bard in an online game 2 years ago, and his name was Ondes Health, and he was he had a German accent. But if you look at the two word, the name, the forename and the surname, and you put it together, he was an elf, by the way. It's on the shelf.
Nobody puts this elf on the shelf.
Yeah, he's an elf on the shelf. But
Yeah.
his name was on the shelf, and he had a German accent, and he played for a very long time, and no one figured it out. So I don't know. We played about 5 or 6 sessions, and no one put one together.
It's just killing you inside.
It's like, come on, my genius is wasted on you all.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Part of me was like really proud of it, and the other part of me was like, "Oh, this is so wasted."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's
then there's that
difficult.
secret joke of how long can you let it go?
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
I say secret joy, until somebody gets it.
Yeah. I love that. So in the recently Penny Dragon, we had like a showcase. We showed off an encounter from the mag at I'm probably going to butcher this. I'm going to say DryCon in a German convention, and we streamed a little game, and me and some of the other like DMs and some of the other players from the Twitch were playing, and I decided to go for a Warforged Barbarian, which was a wild magic barbarian. But I chose Warforged because my guy was a giant nutcracker called Major Pistachio. And he was like an old British like army officer, and he was all, tell you, what's this thing? And his head was just cracked open, and you could see all the gears. And then when he raged, his cheeks got all red hot, and he turned into a cockney. He was, he just had a big hammer, and I was like, yeah, I had to do it. I was like, it's a one-off session. I'm playing a nutcracker. God.
Yeah.
His original name was what was it? It was Colonel Walnut, and then somebody had settled on Pistachio because it was like Pinocchio and Mustachio, and it was still a nut. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, people, but these are the kinds of folks that work on Mag of Holding.
Yeah, and he's probably going to come back because everybody was. We decided we wanted to come back because the session ended with him sacrificing himself to some weird, intergalactic collector type figure. So apparently, there's going to be a rescue mission for Major Pistachio, or so the rest of the party have said.
That's awesome.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
When you're a cracker, every problem you have is a nut.
I'll have to remember that one.
That is, yeah. He was a nutcracker whose nut had been cracked. He was, yeah. Oh, that was the whole thing behind the wild magic. Was presumably he was some sort of golem magical sentry, but because his head was just split open, all the magic was going haywire. Couldn't control it.
It's making sure your character has lots of character.
Yeah.
Or
Sorry. He also had a little nutcracker. I took the talking doll from Xanathar's Guide, the little magic item. He was called Lieutenant Chip. So, and he had a little wind up,
Oh my God, I love it so much.
I'm dying to play him again.
That's the beauty is when you find those little characters that have so much character. that you
Mm.
just, enjoy playing, which that's an
Yeah.
important part of playing, damn it, is find a character who's unique and playful and fun, I mean,
Yeah.
and might be accosted by Santa and his elves,
Yeah, that's a character you want for Paddy's Santa Claus little
Yeah.
our little extra for Kickstarter.
Yeah, we should probably run a game. Actually, I'll run the "We Wish You a Scary Christmas," and you can
Probably
play
should.
Major Pistachio.
Pistachio.
That would be.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
yeah.
That's
We have to do that.
fantastic.
Yes.
You could have an elf named Jingle.
Definitely. What about an elf who's kind of like based off Stringer Bell from The Wire, and we just call them Jingle Bell? Streetwise elf.
You don't like it when my jingles jangle. His decoy is he takes some bells and throws them, so when you hear them land, you look there, and he's sneak attacking from the other side.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
He's definitely
Ball
has
bearings that are all just the little tinker bells,
Oh, the little elf jingle bells.
Yeah.
Hey, I could see slipping on one of those and really, really, really messing yourself up.
Yeah. Hey, maybe
Difficult terrain,
we'll have
my
to-
ass.
Yeah, we might have to invite some unseelie, role players on maybe for that stream.
Yeah, if only we knew some.
Yeah, I don't know where we'd find them.
It would be difficult. You'd have to leave out like a bowl of milk under the bed, or some porridge with honey, and just see who arrives magically.
Oh man.
Now I'm like thinking, what would be a good character?
The cogs are
Some sort
turning.
of reindeer centaur. Ooh. Okay, reindeer centaur, like a fighter with the unarmed fighting style, or a pugilist for Benjamin Huffman's pugilist on DM's Guild. Great homebrew class. We're using it in one of our Twitch streams. I love it. So, like a fisticuffs, big reindeer centaur called Rudolph Lundgren. Maybe it looks like Ivan Drago.
And secretly, he's got a high intelligence, but nobody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so he can be rolling death saves, and I can say, if he dies, he dies. Oh, man.
We have found our tribe.
Yeah, can we make this a weekly engagement? The round table.
So I don't think I mentioned it previously, but online for Penny Dragon Games, where can folks find you guys?
We have a website for Mag of Holding, which is magofholding.com. That thing needs updated. I'm afraid it's a bit. I was kind of using it to document and sort of like using it as a journal for our progress throughout the year, but I kind of left that behind a little bit a few months back. But it's still a good place to find out some information. But pennydragon.games is our new website that just launched, and it's got a little store attached to it for anyone who misses the Kickstarter, so you can get Mag of Holding on there, and we'll be adding other products over the course of the new year. So some merchandise, lots of puns. We have a t-shirt in development, and it's got a Yeti on it with a Santa hat, and it says, "Are you Yeti for Christmas?" So that's where you probably saw the video on the bit of art on the YouTube video, or the YouTube video, sorry, the Kickstarter video, which had the Yeti in it. So yeah, it'll have stuff like that. So pennydragon.games is probably the best place to find us. But of course, we're always floating around on Kickstarter, so we're there.
And exactly what should folks look for on Kickstarter to have you guys pop up?
If you actually, I think it's under Paddy Finn, or you can check Mag of Holding, and you'll see our active Mag of Holding campaigns, and even if you Google Mag of Holding, it'll show the previous ones. And actually, if you go to magofholding.com and subscribe to the newsletter, it's probably one of the best ways to stay in touch and to make sure you receive any announcements for pre-launches and things like that when it comes to Kickstarters, because we do try to we aren't always very good at this because they tend to get a little far ahead of us, especially when you're doing 5 of them a year. But we do try to launch the pre-launch a few weeks before, just to give people a heads up, and anyone who's been following for a while can get in on the first day and whatever. So our newsletter is probably one of the best ways to make sure you don't miss anything.
Because speaking of miss, there are 4 days left in the Breath of the Feywild. I was about to say 5, but it's down to 4 today, because a new day. It's funny how those get away from you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny because we normally launch at 9 a.m. Pacific time on a Tuesday, because that's kind of like one of the better times for audiences. Everyone across the states are sort of have started their day or are starting their days and whatnot. But because we're in the United Kingdom / Ireland, it's really confusing, because we launched the Kickstarter and then the next day it's like, oh, it's day 2, but it's like, it really isn't day 2, because we launched it on when it was the previous day for the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Through the magic of time zones and losing a day.
Exactly. There is no time in the Feywild.
Somebody cast time stop. We got any high level wizards that we could,
And speaking of launch, because I was shocked when I saw the email for the announcement on this one. How long did it take for you guys to fund once you launched?
We funded in a little under an hour, I believe.
Which is really impressive.
Yeah, it just shows we have such an amazing community. We started as this tiny little nobody back in February, and we still haven't grown huge or anything, but our community has grown and they've been really supportive, and we really, really appreciate and are very grateful for our community. And we wouldn't be doing this without them. Essentially, we are here because of our amazing community.
Oh yeah,
they make that sort of thing happen. I mean, we raised our goal. I think this is the highest funding goal we had, and we still made it in under an hour. So that was amazing.
It just shows that folks can feel your love in the writings, and as you can see, you're not the only ones who enjoy the punishment,
Hell yeah!
Well, the Discord on the website, there's a link. There's a link to the Discord. Is a great place to join, because even I got involved initially through the. I don't know if I saw an ad or something for. Way back the Eisendore's Vault of Tragic Treasures, a big hardcover book that for playtesting, and I signed up to the mailing list, and then I was on the Discord when there was 20 people on there, and I started writing a few blogs in the run up to that Kickstarter launch with Paddy, and then just it was very welcoming, and I got more and more involved, and then started we started this Patreon, and so it's great. I went from being one of 20 people on the Discord to now it's just grown and grown, and there's great community, and we're all running games and playing games on Twitch, and sharing memes, which is the function of any internet forum. So that's great if anybody wants to get involved or just be up on the news. The Discord is great as well.
And for the Discord, what's the link that you would search for you guys on Discord?
If you just type Penny Dragon Games Discord, it should show up.
Yeah, and I think there should be a clickable link that'll take you to an invite link on the website as well,
and on the Kickstarter page, I believe.
Oh yes, you're right. I think but that's another good avenue, because there's I don't even know what we're at now.
We're
Discord members.
hovering. Last I checked, which was actually a while back, we were hovering around 1,200. We
Yeah.
grew really quickly at one stage. We were
Yeah.
like a big what was it, advertising campaign sort of towards back end.
Yeah.
I know it was in summer, and our audience grew significantly over about 2 or 3 months, and we sort of we took the foot off that pedal for a while, and it's kind of like fluctuate a little bit, 1,200, 1,400, that sort of area. But I mean, it's amazing that it was zero this time last year. Or I mean, we only started this. It was it around this time last year, I think.
I'm trying to think, because
was the Discord earlier 2021? I can't remember, but it was
maybe. I think I joined the Discord like right around the time I started the blogs, which I think was like February, or maybe when we got in contact. So I don't know how long it had been around before then, but probably not very long, because it was about 20 people, and some of them were mods, and
were
Kyle and other like half of the Discord was probably the creative team at the time.
I think so.
So I don't even know if it's been a year.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I am looking at your Kickstarter right now, and yes, near the bottom, you do have your links for your Discord, your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Perfect.
There you go. Kelly knows more about it than you.
I had it up because I backed it this morning.
So if that's the case, then Kelly, what's the link to the Patreon? Because we haven't mentioned the Patreon site yet. We've talked about it, but haven't mentioned where it is.
Okay, hold on. I have that up too.
And while she's looking that up, I do want to share that on Twitch, my buddy David says your artwork looks amazing, by the way, because I was sharing some screenshots of the artwork.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're spoiled with artists. We work with such amazing. That's one of my favorite parts of the whole creative process, is working with the artists and telling them, getting what the writer has and then translating that into a brief for the artist and then getting it back. And it's like magic watching it come together. And yeah, the folks, we're very lucky that we work with such talented people.
Yeah, the artwork is lovely. But the Patreon, if you go to Patreon, it's Penny Dragon. Literally, patreon.com/Penny Dragon.
See, there you go.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's a lie. You overcomplicate everything with puns.
Yeah, we really do.
And then the joy in trying to simplify it afterwards.
Yeah.
We'd all be out of a job if it was too simple. But what I really like about the Patreon is we're trying to do something a little different. And Ben and a few other creators are very sort of involved. I think it's like maybe 4. Is it three writers?
Well, it's Kyle wrote some stuff earlier on.
Yourself and John Sieber
and Joan Jacobs.
And Joan.
Yeah, right. John has done a few. He's done a little of John. I mean, early on, we kind of got Kyle working to get a backlog together, and since then, I mean, John has stepped up and submitted. Just a bunch of stuff. So we're still ahead. We like to try and keep a little bit ahead, so we have some breathing room.
But what we're trying to do on that is it's not just like, give people content, give patrons, files once a month, whatever. It's trying to get patrons involved with creating a publication. So currently it's all based on Minehelm, the Patreon, and it's set in the world of Andavan, in the kingdom of Aragos, on that world. And it's kind of like we take a lot of the stream material from this area as well. And the idea is the patrons get to, talk to us on the private Discord servers, and there's a call for a certain tier once a month, and they get to have a bit of, they get to give us feedback and let us know what ideas are working or what they would like to see. So essentially the patrons are helping us to create the publication. So eventually there will be a setting book, hardcover 200 to 300 page book, We'll do on Kickstarter maybe later on down the line, and it's like the patrons will have been a big part in creating that publication. So they get to create something. It's not just that they get stuff.
It's a participation goes both ways. Plus, it's nice having that from the creator content point of view, getting the feedback, because feedback is hard. Finding out what exactly they're wanting, enjoying. Are they getting as much enjoyment as you guys are?
Definitely. We actually, I couldn't agree more. We recently started using a beta reading team for Mag of Holding. We started using it on Gothic Horror. We had planned to do it, for the first two as well, but we just didn't have the time. But we eventually got around to using the beta reading team, and they get to see the PDF first, and they read it all through and let us know if there's anything they would change, or that's weird or clunky, or they didn't understand. And just having that feedback as well has been incredibly useful. So yeah, 100%.
And that was sourced, or not entirely, but some of that was sourced from the Discord as well, right? We put out a call.
I think that was primarily the Discord. Yeah, there were one or two people outside, but it was mainly Discord.
Yeah.
That's cool. First, you must take the oath of super secrecy that you will not disclose anything under oath of the Fae coming after you.
You'll be inundated with puns. in pun dated.
We'll send wing tranche pandas after you.
Yes. Was that on mic or off mic? The discussion of the scavenger griffin.
That was off mic. If you'd like to bring that up, by the way.
What Kelly's referring to is we were talking about. I think Jim, you brought up. Visible on the Kickstarter page is a sneak peek of the Lesser Mimic, which is one of 6 Fey familiars that we have in the mag. So you can see that there's a Lesser Griffin, a Lesser Mimic, a Lesser Phoenix, and there's a Jackalope, which is visible as well, a little bit of art for it. But my 2 favorites personally are the Draco Kit, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a cat dragon. 2 things that nerds love, more than anything. And the other is the Scavenger Griffin, which is, instead of a mighty eagle and lion, it's a crow and a raccoon.
I want one of those.
Yeah. I think those are going to be the biggest hit. I mean, that and the mimic, because who doesn't want a little baby mimic?
Especially if it's a purse, mimic purse.
Exactly. Yeah, you really will never find anything in your purse again. Talking about your purse swallowing everything.
It will coordinate with everything you wear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could just think of the medieval city with a purse snatcher coming by, grabbing that, and realizing worst day ever.
I'm afraid that what you just said is I've just had a horrible realization, which is that we called it a lesser mimic and not a purse snatcher.
Well, no, I would have one and I would name him Percy. Snatcher.
There we go. We're
you
leaving
wouldn't call him Gucci?
Yeah.
And I just call him Percy for short. See?
Whenever Percy's not on screen, everyone should be asking, "Where's Percy?"
In the background, there's a purse inchworming across the floor.
Yeah.
And then you just hear a cat hiss off camera.
It reminds me of this is totally off topic, but there was a book by it's terrible. I'm going to forget the author's name, but it was illustrated by Chris Riddle or Chris Riddell. I'm never actually sure. I've never actually heard his name pronounced, but he's a great illustrator. He used to illustrate these Edge Chronicles books that I read when I was younger, and he did work, I think, more recently with Neil Gaiman. But he had illustrated this book that I had when I was younger, which I loved, called The Story Giant, and it was a bunch of little stories and fables that had been collected from around the world, and also some original stories that were all told throughout this kind of there was like I'm blanking on the term, but there was like a sort of a wraparound narrative about them as this giant telling the stories. But one of them was about this mean old lady who suddenly discovered that there was like an interdimensional, like there was like a black hole inside her purse. And so everything, like her neighbor's cat that she didn't like, she shoved it in, and eventually she was shoving in everything she didn't like, and eventually it burst, and I think she got sucked in, and there are all these fables with, like you were saying, Jim, unseelie lessons, there are all these kind of fables, and that's just all I can think of now with the purse that's essentially it has an interdimensional, you could make like a little bag of holding mimic.
Eventually, whoever's on the other side saying, "Who keeps putting all this crap in my closet?"
It all has to go somewhere.
Yeah, everyone in his family thinks he's a hoarder, and he's like, "No, I don't know where it's coming from." I was like, "Sure, Grandpa, you need help."
Now it makes me wonder if dryers are actually mimics, and they only like the left sock.
Oh,
that would explain a lot.
There's a story, yeah.
That explains so much. So one thing I did want to throw out there for you guys, that on the Kickstarter, if you don't have copies of Mag of Holding's previous books, there is the Planar Traveler, which can get you physical and PDF copies of the previous copies too to get caught up. Which, by the way, is like an amazingly good deal. By the way, I want to throw that one out there.
Yeah, thanks. We figured we have a few extra copies of those first 3 Kickstarters knocking around, so it would be worth putting them on there. And just like you say, it's a nice way for someone to maybe get into the series, if they want to get all 4. And the deal, we thought, well, if people are getting all 4, then we can knock a few dollars off of that.
And as someone who does Patreons for overseas, your shipping costs are really, really reasonable. I want to throw that out to you, by the way.
Yeah, we have our amazing fulfillment partners, Nord Games, to thank for that. So we kind of we do a bit of a hybrid thing where in Europe we send some of the things from here, but generally speaking, so what happens is we get our stuff printed in Toronto, of all places, because we don't like having to wait 6 months to a year for stuff to arrive where it's supposed. Though saying that, we have been experiencing some shipping delays with one of our shipments, despite it being in Toronto. So it goes from Toronto to our warehouse in California, and then from California it gets shipped out to all the good backers and all the good people. And that's just because 70 to 80% of our people are in the United States, so it just makes sense to keep it all over there.
Well, speaking on behalf of the folks in the U.S., we appreciate that, and thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's always one of those ones that I look at for Kickstarters is, what is the shipping cost going to be? Because sometimes that can really scare you when all of a sudden you're like, backing, and then some terrifying number comes up for shipping, and then it's like, oh, okay, PDF only.
Yeah, one thing that even and they're a fantastic company, and I love their products, but the recent because I love the Kobold Press books, and they're recent on the tome of the Tome of Heroes that they released recently with all subclasses and stuff. I was disappointed because on the Kickstarter. And I understand it's kind of out of their hands, but there was no shipping option for physical copies to the EU. So, I mean, I'm in Ireland, so, I couldn't get the physical copy even if I wanted to, but I mean, I'll pick one up when it releases, like general release. But I had to settle for the PDF only. Shipping it's crazy at my local game store. On top of all the other shipping delays and stuff because of COVID and everything else. I went in just the other day to pick some stuff up, and he was saying there was like $8,000 worth of merchandise, which was I don't know. There was some they made some screw up with serial numbers. It was the courier service, and it was coming from the UK over here, and then it arrived in port, and then there was some screw up, and it just got shipped immediately back to the UK. So he's like, there's $8,000 worth of merchandise just for Christmas, just sailing away, full of Fizzbands, Treasury of Dragons, and Magic cards and Pokemon cards, and I'm like, man, that's gotta stink. You know, I felt so bad. It's just, especially when you're trying to, you know, to keep these places open. You know, the brick and mortar friendly local game stores. You know.
Yeah, something like that can break them, especially with the holidays. You know, it's
Yeah, because I think he had borrowed money. You know, but I mean, you know, that's but or he'd said to me, you know, but it's just it's tough out there. You know.
And of course, like I've talked to all of my gaming groups and stuff, it's like, hey, when it comes to shipping right now, cut people slack because the world is still in chaos.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Most of our people have been very understanding.
Sure.
Unfortunately, with Gothic Horror, anyone who backed Gothic Horror got their stuff pretty well. There was a little bit of delay on that one, but it was like 2 weeks of a delay, I think. If memory serves. But then anyone who added on the first Mag of Holding, I think that delay is still ongoing for some people. So most people are actually very understanding, and as long as you kind of keep them up to date and keep people in the loop and are transparent about these things, I think people are happy to cut you some slack. But I mean, it can be frustrating, especially if you were expecting something a month ago and it still isn't here.
It gets trickier. I think the main thing is always, you have to be understanding. But if it's a gift or something, that's always tricky. But I think with, as Paddy was saying, when it was bundled with the people who backed for the issue 1, is I believe we're just giving that like a little errata, update. It's just getting a little spruce, because it's. It is our first issue, so I think there's basically a reprint of that, which is why there's a little bit of a delay, on that tier. But it's gonna look great when you do get it,
And as long as it's for a good reason, and printing takes time. I mean, so many printers right now are backed up on projects. They have to wait for supplies to show up so they can print the item and then send it out. I mean, it's funny how these things can all cascade together,
Sure, and you
communication is key.
Do it right,
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I agree. Keeping the lines of communication open is that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, when you got the PDF, you can at least, like you were saying, at least get rolling with the PDF. That's a good thing too. So that way you can read it, get into it, throw it into your games. Because let's be honest, that's what's really bad is enjoying of reading and then throwing it into your games.
Yeah, exactly.
This is true.
Because I mean, and I suppose that's the thing. Even a lot of people with Kickstarters, and I've done it. Especially for things where I might be, if it's my first time backing with a certain company, or, you might get, say, PDF first because it's, you don't know if you want to, spend the money, or just, you only got so much room on the shelf, or, you think, well, I'm probably going to look at the PDF and I'm going to make DM notes or whatever, or, or you might be a player and maybe you just want subclass sounds cool. So, maybe you want subclass or the new spells in the book, which are actually going to be really good for anybody who wants to create mischief. Like, just as an idea, one of them is Jacobaro's Field of Phantasmal Frogs. So that's basically you just summon a bunch of phantasmal frogs and they just bother and distract the enemy. So, they just start hopping around. So what more could you want?
Hey, never knock a good distraction at the right time. I'm just saying, Nobody wants to be covered on frogs when they're trying to be a big, bad, evil guy monologuing and trying to get out his spell.
Oh, yeah. It's the ultimate bard spell, It's just, there's a lot of that, yeah.
There's a frog in my throat.
And, And actually, another one that I really like is it's a cantrip, which is, it felt like good for a sorcerer. It's basically, I suppose it's kind of like Chaos Bolt. It's just a little cantrip that does a random damage type called Mana Spark. Because I thought like there's something for sorcerers that you want like a damaging spell, and you feel like maybe you got to take Firebolt or something, but then you look like a pyromancer, so it's just like a raw magic kind of cantrip, for someone who's maybe a wild magic sorcerer or doesn't want to go for one element over the other,
Get
and
to
it felt
embrace-
it was something we had floating around, and it felt like a good fit for the Feywild,
Oh, I like that.
It's just an eruption. So I think it's the same range, and it's I think it's a D10, maybe it's a D8, but I think it's a D8, but it's a deck save. It's just magic just explodes, like randomly at a creature or a point you can see, It's just everything goes haywire. So
Does the party popper.
party popper, yeah, exactly. So yeah, but it's good stuff. If you're a DM, you're gonna find loads of stuff in there. If you're a player, there's gonna be a bunch of good options for you.
And there's going to be a couple of good stories worth, getting into and enjoying too. So that's going to be good.
Yeah, and if you're a Ginny D fan, there's an interview with Ginny D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we try to we want to obviously create specific tools that people can use, but you'll usually find there's little bits of lore dotted throughout. Like you said, there's story in there as well, and it's not just about like giving people tools. It's about giving people the inspiration and little sparks to create ideas and scenarios where they can use those tools. Because it is a collaborative storytelling experience. So if you slap a bit of story in there and it highlights and features a bunch of the elements from the rest of the publication, then and you're reading that and you go, oh yeah, I can see that happening with my party, or oh yeah, I'm doing this in a campaign and that would fit really well. And I think that's what we do a little differently. It's sort of it's not just going, oh, here's a bunch of magic items. It's like, okay, here are the magic items, and here's how you might use these, and the weird things that you might not have considered that you could do with them. And as a player, here are ways you can maybe really scare your DM or vice versa, DM scare your players, whatever way it goes.
And I think that's something as well which has come across really well that we've tried to do in the Patreon is all the encounters, we include like a little bit of either like a scene. Basically it's essentially just a little bit of prose, like a little bit of lore that connects to the encounter, and then there's also a little bit of it's like the text isn't taken up by it's pretty much just the info you need to drop this encounter into your game, but there's also suggestions and like a little bit of story surrounding it, so that if you wanted to expand it or drop it into your campaign, there's like a little bit of background to the encounter. And then also, these things are made they're set in the city of Minehelm, and they revolve around the brown cloaks, this city watch in that city. But we have a note on all of them that says, obviously you can drop it in anywhere. It's we've used the words Minehelm, or there's a city watch party that's gone sent to investigate, but maybe your party just stumbles across this in the Underdark, or somebody pays them to go investigate something. So it's designed, that the intention really is to be, as you say, build out that campaign setting, but also here's how it can work in whatever game you're running. This encounter takes place in a forest. You guys in a forest right now, then you can use it.
So that way you're giving them the keys to the kingdom to basically, use it and make it theirs. It's not just, you're not just sliding it in and copy pasting. You're actually integrating it into your story.
Yeah, and I hope the lore gives a bit of inspiration, like Paddy said, to spark your own ideas, about how it fits you and your world.
Yeah, it's about kind of inspiring people, and also keeping it simple, making it easy, you know, for people to use this in an existing campaign or whether it's homebrewed or pre-written. Like, that's why we have a theme for every Mega Holding. So if you're running something, you're running Ragnar the Frost Maiden or Storm King's Thunder, and you're north of the Spine of the World, or even if it's just your own homebrew Arctic setting, then you grab Frozen Wastelands, right? Because it's got a bunch of frozen monsters in there, frozen scenarios, Arctic rules for, cold diseases and all that sort of thing. And then, if you're running Curse of Strahd or something similar in the Domains of Dread, you pick up the Gothic Horror Mag of Holding, which has a bunch of stuff related to Gothic horror, and then so it's kind of like we want DMs or players to have these on their shelves, and they don't have to think, they don't have to go browsing through loads of different things to figure out which is which. It's just like, I'm running something Christmassy. Okay, let's go get the winter one. I'm running a seafaring campaign, or there's going to be a pirate encounter off the coast of Waterdeep in this whatever I'm running, and it's like, oh yeah, pirates and seafaring has a bunch of stuff. Let's see what kind of monsters I could throw at the ship, or etc. So it's kind of like just trying to keep it thematic and simple and inspiring and all these good things.
We could have simplified the titles even more. We should have just been like Mag of Holding, just like chili, salty, spooky,
One word titles.
Bold letters,
Yeah.
You just grab it. It's like, what's this? Okay, we get the spooky book. This thing, it's like a big bat wolf man. Throw that in. What's this? It's a guy. He's got a gallows on his back. That's cool. Throw that in. You could really simplify it.
Yeah.
But instead, you make sure to give it the extra flavor text that helps paint the picture, Because it's true, just reading the stories can totally inspire a player or a GM to come up with an entire campaign or character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. Like, even, we like backgrounds is, I say backgrounds isn't like always the most popular thing to put in somewhere, but I think like the bit I love about backgrounds, and the reason I want to include them as much as possible, I think we have like 2 or 3 in the last few Mega Holdings, is because I love backgrounds, and the reason I love them as a player is because, like, if I'm coming up with a new character and I see an interesting background, it just sparks that, it just ignites the flame, and then it takes off, and it's like it all comes out of the background,
Yeah, and
I'm the same way.
Yeah. Or the contrast between, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a cleric, and okay, well, I suppose an acolyte would make sense. But if you're like, okay, I've decided to play a wizard, but you go through the backgrounds and you're like, ooh, a sailor. What would a wizard sailor be like? Or, a barbarian sage,
Yeah, backgrounds
those things can intersect.
Backgrounds are huge. I love in 5th edition that we've got them now, because it totally paints a picture. Like, you can have a monster hunter ranger, and that totally tells you a story right there, as opposed to the outlander ranger, which is just, you're a far traveler. You go from far places, and you come from where. But if you're a monster hunter, that's totally telling you it's Van Helsing right there.
I play a lot of clerics, a lot of bards, those types of things usually, because nobody else wants to play the cleric. So I'm like, fine, I'll play it. But I always choose different backgrounds for every single cleric. So it's completely different identity. And I try and craft them that specifically so that I'm not playing the same character. And I do accents. I do. And that's primarily because my twin sister sounds identical to me. When Jim was recording, and we'd be listening to it, and I'm like, well, who's talking? Well, I know that's me because of what I'm saying, my character, but it's like people can't tell us apart. So when we started gaming with her, I started doing accents, so that we could differentiate. But now it's like, now each of my characters, that background is so important for me to craft how that character is going to react. I completely adore new backgrounds because it gives me so much more fodder. I'll even write my own depending on how I want that character to be, or a background will inspire that character.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the custom backgrounds as well, but only because if there's something that doesn't fit the niche exactly, but that's why I think and Paddy's right, I think it's why background options are so important because, I mean, for one, a lot of people and a lot of DMs, I don't think would realize it's kind of one of those things that's like a misconception, and it's understandable. There's so many rules, but the custom backgrounds are rules as written, basic rules, official. They're allowed, but I feel like most people probably don't know that, or understandably, they're creating a character and they want to kind of grab one, and it's it's especially new players, that they don't maybe fully understand it, or customizing a background would be maybe a little bit of extra work for them, or so having all those options is great, so that you can have things a bit more niche that you're I believe one of the essentially one of the backgrounds for the Feywild is more or less like a kind of not like a changeling, but you were in the Fey as a child, and maybe you remember, maybe you don't, kind of thing. So it's like that's a specific thing somebody might want to do, but before it's like here's a pre-made version of that you can just grab. If you don't know how to build it yourself.
Mm-hmm. And a lot
that's
of
also why.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, the one that's I always like that we tend to try and do a session 0 together, building the characters, so that you can mesh. And what's always nice is because Jim will, it's like, and if you want to customize one, the GM can say, hey, look, if you want to customize something, by all means, just tell me, and we'll work with it, or feel free to roll it. But it's so nice to have other tables that you could either roll from or inspire you. Than just the basics that come with it. Because I love them because it puts the ROLE back into role playing versus ROLL.
Yeah, and we actually in a home game once that I was playing in, it was right after, or it was just right after the first lockdowns and everything. It was my game group in my local game store we moved online, and so we started a new campaign because we wanted to keep that one physical. So we said, let's just start a new campaign. And our DM had the idea of since it's just a side campaign, we went through, there's rules for essentially rolling your character's backstory or their background information in Xanathar's. And it was really interesting to totally roll that you're okay, are your parents alive? Are you orphaned? Do you like your parents? Do you have siblings? How old are you? It goes super into detail, but we had decided before all that what we were going to do was an all one class party. So we were all decided we'd all be bards, and we were a family band. But we were a band, but the thing is, obviously we were all a different subclass. And we picked all different races, but the idea was our father was some kind of, actually, you know what, it was actually very Ego in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He was like a demigod deadbeat dad, so we were all half siblings, and we were looking for our father to track him down. And it was so I was a tiefling, but I looked like a jackal, I looked like an Arcanoloth, and someone else was a minotaur, and there was an Aasimar, and so because he was this mercurial demigod, we just could look like whatever, but we were all siblings, and we were in a band, and so we each had to pick our instrument, and one of the guys was awesome. The manager.
We had talked about doing an all bard or all cleric, but different, factor. It's that's so fantastic that you did it. I love it.
In the one we were talking about, it's a human father with all the half human races. So you'd have the half orc, the half the half demon, the tiefling,
Yeah, Ganassi and all that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Because it embraces the bard stereotype for their father.
Of course.
Totally. And it was the same thing. Yeah, it was he's obviously this very charismatic, this very charismatic figure, so it transferred to all of us one way. So we all had to have at least like decent charisma, you know. And it's funny though, because you think, and I think it goes to Kelly's point that like a bard isn't just like as much as we all love him, a bard isn't just Scanlan. It's not just like that's a great archetype for a bard. It's kind of the first thing you think of is this mischievous, sort of lusty kind of character. But we had like. I think I chose the College of Whispers, and I was a former spy. I think I was the oldest of the siblings, and I was a former. It said I had been in a war. I owned like a parcel of land that I got in for some reason, and I on the Xanathar's rolling table. So I was like, well, what if I was given it as like, a commendation? And I was an old spy master in war. And I was College of Whispers, and I was all very like sneaky and quiet. And I think I might have played the equivalent of like a keyboard. I was in the back, and Asimar was the front man, and he was very charismatic. And our Minotaur was like, she was great. She was just like a big himbo, and she was the drummer. So it was like everyone had their own personality, within that. So it was 5 bards, and we were all completely different.
Well, see, we didn't do the bard party, but instead, because Jim had suggested that one time, so instead what I did was I actually created a changeling bard. So now I have 5 different main personas, each with their own accent, manner of speaking, completely different. She actually is also College of Whispers.
It's a great song.
But yeah, so she's got one of her characters is the haughty blood elf, who, and then she just recently created a new one where he's a half orc. His name's Yaya. He talks with a German accent, but he's the ladies' man, and then I have like different, each one. Well, I have 2 ladies' mans, but
one does.
But
Yeah, should
that
team
way
up
I could
with,
play
on the shelf.
Yeah. Which is why he's called Yaya.
The Yaya on the Shelf cover band.
And then, actually, I also love that movie, Eurovision, Fire Saga.
Yaya Ding Dong.
Yaya Ding Dong!
Yeah.
He was named for the song.
I just, if you're listening, cover your ears. But I got my mother the soundtrack because she loves that movie. There's no DVD of it. I don't know if it's ever coming to like DVD, but I got her the soundtrack at least so she can listen in the car because she's like in love with that movie and watches it all the time.
It is so delightfully ridiculous.
The music is honestly
it is.
It's actually great.
Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's more about her, not Will Ferrell. It's Rachel McAdams' character.
It is, and I recently actually just showed it to my girlfriend. We watched it for the first time, and I was gonna actually bring it up with her, but she said herself that what she liked is it's like obviously apart from the banker dude, there's not like you kind of think Dan Stevens Russian guy is gonna be like the villain, but he's really like he respects Rachel McAdams as an artist and everything, and it's like you kind of he's not like bad.
No, he's lovable.
Right that Will Ferrell is taking her for granted and all that, but yeah, like everyone is. It's a real feel good movie, and I think you've got to have those feel good movies, Can't be unseelie all the time,
Speaking of the elves, don't anger the elves.
I'll leave this here in case you need to do more murders.
We did a Netflix party once for my sister and I, our birthday, since during quarantine. So we did a Netflix party with some of our friends, and we chose Eurovision. And was like, okay, everybody has to drink if they say elves.
A good time was had.
fun.
Many sore heads were had that the next morning.
Yes. Yeah.
Except for my sister, she doesn't drink, but
She just got a show.
yeah,
Got to watch.
just filled the pint glass with water, and put a little tea
pretty
in it,
much for her.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else about the Breath of the Feywild that we haven't touched on? Any super secret things that we haven't said?
Or maybe they should stay secret and encourage people to get it, so they can.
Yeah.
So they can.
How very Sealy of you.
Yeah, if you want to find out the secrets, you have to back the Kickstarter.
I like that.
And as
That's
much as I yacked, there is still, believe me, untold amounts of content that I didn't even touch on.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff. Like, I mean, I don't even think we mentioned we sort of touched on some of the monsters, but there's 4 of those, 4 new monsters, a bunch of NPCs, 23 magic items. I think
it's a lot. You can take my word for it. I had to edit it all.
Yeah.
I know exactly how much there is.
There's a lot of stuff in there. We also often get that comment that people get it and they go, they were assuming it was going to be a mag, and they're like, "This isn't a magazine; it's a book." And it's like, well, yeah, it is a book. It's just we thought mag of holding was clever because it's a pun, but it sort of didn't. It backfired a little bit on us because people think it's a magazine. I mean, there is a bit of editorial in there for interviews and stuff like that, but primarily it is a book.
There are, well, also, I think we get away with it as well because it is quarterly. And I used to get my dad, as he loves Aston Martins, and I got him this. They had their own magazine called Vantage, and I would get him that quarterly mag, and it's like about the same thickness. I feel we can get away with it. It's it's a quarterly publication. It's a magazine. It's just a very big one.
And we know, going way back to the oldest iterations of RPGs, we love that type of magazine feel. That way you can get different feels of different gaming styles, and and on the plus side, they're theme based, so it's super nice that way. Though I wonder if you'll ever have a April Fool's edition.
Ooh.
Thinking of all the puns, I just
oh no, we already have we won't say, but we already have the theme for our next spring Q1 edition, but maybe 2023 we'll pencil in April Fools.
Yeah.
Or maybe just like a little mini thing on the Patreon page.
Like the or hey, not a bad idea, maybe like the extra Santa Claus, Christmas adventure, because it wasn't a Christmas it wasn't a Christmas edition, but it was Christmas time, so we kind of you got to have something. So maybe April Fools for the next one. A little something extra.
A little teaser there.
Maybe.
Alrighty, guys. I just definitely want to say thank you for coming on with us and having a great Sunday morning. And of course, I can't wait to see. I'm still hoping that the poster gets unlocked on the Kickstarter. That would be nice. Just saying.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That is the next tier, and we have 4 more days.
Yeah.
We might hit it. We've kind of hit that before when we've had this bit of a difference, so I'm hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's always the final push in the last kind of 2 days. The Kickstarters tend to experience a bit of a surge. Everybody panics, I do it all the time. I back stuff on Kickstarter. I'm like, there's 36 hours left to go. I gotta get it. What if I don't want to miss out?
You get that sense
trust
of
me,
urgent push.
I missed out on one because I was I was on vacation, and my reminder came up, and I came back, and I'm like, no.
The FOMO is real.
I panic by Kickstarter a lot. It's where the impulse buys get me. But you won't, if you impulse buy the mags, don't worry, you will not regret it. Unlike that packet of donuts that I bought at the checkout, last minute. It's only good for you.
Do not remind me.
It's totally
You're
good. It's totally good for you and sustainably developed because you use sustainable materials, right?
Yeah, we try to use exactly. It's we're using the people who are, they use sustainable methods in their printing, and yeah, we try to do what we can as well for the environment because the thing is, I come from the ebook side of things. I come from like the author, science fiction and fantasy in the author sort of industry, if you want to call it that, and I've been doing that full time for a few years now, and then it kind of like say took a bit of a left turn into the D&D side of things. It was just going to happen at some point. I love D&D. I'm a writer. Those two worlds were going to meet. And the thing is with the ebook side of things is, people still buy print an awful lot, but ebook has become very popular. And the great thing about ebook is, you're not using any resources. Whereas, in Dungeons and Dragons, and TTRPGs, we all still love to be able to hold that book in our hands and
pass it around the game table.
Yeah, and we just we donate to charities that plant trees and stuff like that because we just feel, well, at least I feel that it's important if you're going to be cutting down trees to make your product that you need to be doing something to replace that, at least doing what you can.
And we if we cut all the trees down and the forests, we're in trouble because where are all the Fae going to live? And they're going to spill out. And
exactly,
and they're going to be really cranky.
You want a bunch of red caps in your, your basement.
Yeah. Let's keep the Fae in the forests, people.
Yeah, got to give them somewhere. But thanks so much, Jim and Kelly, for having us. It's been great, I've loved it.
It's been great to repeatedly punish each other. And yeah, we're definitely looking forward when the Kickstarter, comes on out because, yes, this may cause us to have another stream game. Oh no, another stream game of more Fae stuff because totally our High Sea Shenanigans game needs the pirates and seafarers brought into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the good things.
We'll have to do a post-game discussion. You can tell us. We'll have to come back on, and you can tell us what you thought. How you got on with the mag content.
How did the attack of the jackalope go?
What new puns were birthed?
Don't tell the players the Monster Hunt name, but after they finish, find out that the title was called Night of the Jackalope. Because here they thought it was something horrible, and it's just a bunch of jackalopes on the wild. You go through the forest and you see the trees about 2 feet high are scraped bare of bark. What could be doing that?
It does sound pretty ominous.
Yeah. What about the day of the jackalope and there's an international assassin with a sniper rifle?
Instead of the jackal.
Well, I'm gonna stop going off on tangents, or else you find people will never get to leave.
Alrighty, guys. I want to say definitely thank you for joining us. And is there any parting words you want to throw out there for the day?
Let's just say thanks to you guys for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure and a blast. And yeah, thanks to all the people who have supported us. It's been a bit of a roller coaster being the first year. Like I said, this is the 5th Kickstarter. It's been mental and insane. And next year is going to be even more so. So, if you haven't already, jump aboard the roller coaster because it's going to get interesting.
It's only going to get faster and harder to jump on.
Exactly.
Please keep
I
your
just have
hands.
one thing to
And
say. Whee!
I think that's where we're going to end it. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you
Yeah.
for everything you do with the Mag of Holding and sharing with us gamers. And thank you, everybody, for listening. All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
great afternoon, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Have a great morning, folks.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yeah. All right.
Ciao.
All right. Later. We'll
Bye-bye.
definitely talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Please do.
Bye bye. Thanks again.